Hey guys, I'm back, and we've got monthly knife club for October. And it's, normally, you guys know, I like to unbox this in real time so you can see my direct reaction and we can explore the box sort of together. But based on a message, or not a message, but a comment on another video, I had to go and open this thing up ahead of time because I had to take a look at it, because somebody had left a comment about stripping out screws and melting their Teflon washer and all this stuff. And I wanted to help the guy out with whatever was going on. And I'll reference that as we go through this. But this right here is actually a pretty awesome knife, in my opinion. So let's talk about monthly knife club before we get going, and we will look at this knife because it's a pretty cool knife. So monthly knife club is a really cool company, in my opinion. Monthly knife club has a lot of different plans, like from some very affordable lower level plans to some very expensive ones. I think their most expensive one is about $250, and it's the ultimate plan. It includes knives and hats and gear and trinkets and clothing, all sorts of stuff. I love the Onyx plan though, and this is the one I get every month, because in the Onyx plan you get guaranteed a higher end knife, a very good quality knife. It's guaranteed you're going to get more than the value you paid for, period, dot. Sometimes you get one, like last month we got two different knives, but you get at least one every month. And while there's been, I think, twice in the whole time of getting it where I haven't been like super thrilled with the knife itself, I just haven't been in love with the knife, you can't argue with the value of the box in terms of trading it off for something else you like better, or resale, if you want to get rid of it or something like that. I mean, it's there. So this month's knife is by Boker. It's a part of their Boker Plus line. It's the Exskelibur, and I'm not making that up, that's the way it's sold. Hey, you know what? Let's just show you the specs real quick right now. You can see right there, excellent quality steel, S35VN, carbon fiber handle material, and we've got a titanium frame lock on that. Awesome. 3.5-inch blade, very lightweight, and at a total overall length of 8 inches, it gives you a good amount of handle to hold on to, even if you've got big hands. Now you'll also notice they don't just give you, an MSRP. What they do is they look all on the internet and they give you the price range that you'll pick this up for. So $164.25. Usually that corresponds with the minimal accepted price, minimal allowable price that a dealer or distributor is allowed to sell the knife for, and then all the way up to what other people on the internet are selling it for. So if you compare the cost of this subscription to the minimal price or the lowest amount people are selling it for, again, the values here. So inside the box, you've got your standard Boker packaging. You've got nice foam cutout, very secure in there. You've got a wrench for your frame screws and your pivot screw. We'll talk about these clip screws because that seems to be somewhat of an issue for some people, and I'm not gonna lie, they're not the easiest to work with. But so you have this beautiful carbon fiber. It's not, wow, it's not quite raw, but it's not quite fully finished either. It's just got a really, really nice finish to it. I like it. It doesn't have that very cheap, we're giving you a slice of machined up carbon fiber kind of look to it. You can see the pattern in it. It has that semi-holographic look that I love on carbon fiber. Your titanium is blasted, so it's got a nice look there. That little snail trail is my doing. It didn't come like that. Again, we'll get to it. Less than 3 ounces. It is incredibly smooth. It kind of has the look of what should be a nail nick folder, just to open up, but it's a front flipper. I really like front flippers. I think they're a cool design. I'm aware that not everybody does, but this one is really simple to do. If you don't like that, you can always do the thumb method. And then you've got this beautifully finished shallow spear point hollow ground blade. Now I looked it up. Look at that shine. That's so gorgeous. It is a hollow grind. It's hard to feel the hollow grind in it. But, you know, I looked it up just to check, because at first I felt like it might be full flat. But it's there. You can sort of see it. That, you know, matters because this is a real slicing friendly knife. That's what that grind does for you. Not a whole lot of billboarding going on. This is actually a collaboration, but they just put Skelerin on there. And then you've got the Boker Plus, model number, and the steel type. Now there's an all steel edition of this that's I don't want to say it's low. It's a little lower end, you know, because of the materials. There's also the Exskelibur 2, which is a smaller version of this. This is kind of the bigger, better version. Oh, wow, that's a nice snap. I love it. This is definitely a larger gentleman's folder type knife. You know, it's super thin, so it can fit in any pocket without being obtrusive or anything like that. It's got a really, I mean, just the polish, and you could see, you're not going to see it on my camera right now because the lights are going to reflect so much. It's got these really beautiful, very, very fine grind lines going across the horizontal of the blade. And those actually, you know what, I take it back. Those are not grind lines. I hate the fact that I put fingerprints on this. They're not grind lines. They're actually, they really represent a hand-rubbed satin finish is what they look like. It's gorgeous. I love it. In terms of comfort, it is super slim, you know, and some people don't like that super slim feeling. Some people really do. But it's definitely enough real estate on the handle that even if you've got big hands, you can comfortably get your hand around the whole thing. Nothing feels like it's going to disappear or you can't get a good grip on it. That clip, also anodized titanium. The clip here, also anodized titanium. Okay, not deep carry clip, unfortunately. It comes mounted for tip down carry, and that also goes into the issue that I'm going to talk about in just a few minutes. You can be reversed for tip up, but it's only right hand carry, no left hand carry. The jimping that is on the flipper to help you flip also ends up giving you a nice little amount of grab right there. Little bit of a comfort issue where it comes with the lock. That is sort of just a pointy little edge there, and it can grab your finger if you're holding it a little bit towards the rear. In order for me to really feel like that jimping has got my thumb really well, my finger kind of goes backwards a little bit, and I get myself right there. Now, if you're adventurous, you could just sand down just that little corner right there. The little corner right there, and it won't affect the lockability or anything of the knife because we're not messing with the internal surface of the lock, just that little corner right there, and that would add a lot of comfort without affecting anything. You can see nice early lockup on the Framelock there. Really good bite on the steel. You've got kind of just exactly even matchup between the scale and the lock. Not the most comfortable thing in the world to unlock, but easy to do, easy to get your finger on, and no real discomfort doing it. I love that. I love the front flipper action. Let's see what that blade's all about, though, shall we? Nice. I feel like this would, as so many knives would benefit from a quick strop just to, you know, tighten up that edge right there. It's a very nice edge, very finely done, but the slightest in the world resistance going through the paper, but all it needs is just a few swipes either side on a strop, and that thing's going to be razor sharp. You feel nothing going through that paper, and it's going to be good to go. Love that. While we're at it, let's check the lock. Let's do a lock test. So here's a closer up view of the lock and where it meets the face of the blade there. Nice and secure, you can see. Centering might be just a little bit off. I don't think we've got any wiggle, do we? You know, honestly, just probably 0.5 millimeter of left and right, which can be solved with this. I'm going to leave it as is for now, because I want to test it right out of the box. Here we go. I don't think I see any movement there, and there's no stick. Centering hasn't changed really, I don't think. And then lock up back to where it was, nice and solid. It's a really nice slim design. If that's what you want, like a really nice slim in your pocket, unobtrusive, but still gives you enough blade to do, you know, any EDC task, but you've got blade size to do it with. Now here's why I had to open this up before doing the actual unboxing. I guess I didn't have to, but I wanted to, because I wanted to kind of, you know, viewer asks my opinion or wants me to, you know, reach out and talk about an issue. I'm not going to just talk out of my rear patoot, which I've been told is pretty nice. So you guys should be grateful for that. But, you know, I wanted to really explore what was going on. So here's the story. He said that he tried to get his screws out, but they were Loctited in. And that he had stripped some of the screws trying to get them out, and then he took a soldering iron to them to try to heat them up, which then melted, he said, the nylon washer. They're not nylon, they're Teflon. There's a difference. Much higher end to have Teflon washers than nylon washers. So he ended up having to go to the store to replace, you know, the screws and everything. And they are some tiny, let me tell you, they're tiny little screws. I think it's just miraculous luck that he went to, I can't remember if it was Ace or True Value, or it's the same store or whatever, and he found some small machining screws and they were just enough to fit. So here's the thing. First of all, Teflon washers are awesome. And as you can see, this is the action on this thing right out of the box is amazing. So if you're trying to take your screws out, number one, you should never just wrench with pure direct force. When I have screws that are a little sticky or stuck in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screwdriver and I'm going to try to give them a twist. Just regular old hand power. If they don't move, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to force them. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to use basically what I said in my response to him was I'm going to act like a human torque wrench. Okay, I'm going to start turning at exactly, like I'm going to turn to where I feel the resistance and just a tiny bit pressure beyond that. But I'm also going to push in. I'm going to push the screwdriver. Going to put pressure into there because I don't want the I don't want the screwdriver to skip out and start deforming. I want to apply pressure inside of there, not just to, you know, the outer edges, which is what happens when you start deforming the screw. So, you know, rather than just letting that screwdriver make contact lightly and start skipping out and twisting metal as it goes, I want to make sure that I'm applying the force to the screw itself, not just the head of the screw. So I put a little bit of pressure forward, and then I start to hold that twist. Okay, again, not like I'm trying to, not crazy amounts, not all my strength, just I feel the resistance, then a little bit more. And a lot of times, if you're patient and you hold that position, that a little amount of torque that you're providing is going to start moving those screws. And that's exactly what happened with mine. They were not Loctited in. It took a little bit of patience, and I started moving those screws, and then I slowly was able to unscrew them and take them out. Now, if you have a Loctited knife, even the strongest Loctite will become workable if you put your knife in the oven for 325 to 350 degrees for about 5 minutes. It will not damage anything else in the knife. Okay, plastic's not going to melt at 300 degrees. Not the kind of plastic that they use, you know, in knives and everything. Unless it's like a really crap low end, you know, off some mass assembly line in China type knife. It might. I can't guarantee that. But in general, 325 is not going to do that, and it's going to loosen your stuff up. Make sure you're using a pot holder or something to hold the knife at that point, because you don't want to burn yourself. And use the same technique, but usually it won't take that much torque or force. You know, those screws will come loose. Don't give it a lot of time to cool off. Loctite, usually once it's broken, and you don't have to worry about it. But, you know, take the screws out, let everything sit, cool down, and then you can do what you got to do. The thing is, if you take an object that puts direct heat on the screws like a soldering iron, like there's a lot of different soldering irons out there. Solder is designed to melt at a very low heat point, but soldering irons themselves can get up to, I think, nearly 900 degrees, 890 degrees. So, I don't know what kind of soldering iron, for example, everybody has, but if you are using the soldering iron heat itself and applying it directly to a screw, especially one that's right next to a nylon washer, and by the way, your titanium picks up heat very easily, the melting point of Teflon, sorry I said nylon washer, of Teflon, in this case, it starts outgassing at about 800, 850 degrees, and then it starts to melt just a little bit higher than that. So when you start applying things like, nearly, 900 degrees of heat, of course you're going to melt your nylon washer. And, it's just far in excess of the heat you need. It doesn't take a lot to break Loctite, guys. And there's nearly nothing on a knife that is not going to survive with no bad effects at all. 300, 325, 350 degrees in the oven for 5 minutes to break your Loctite. That's all it takes. So if you're having trouble with a screw, remember the steps. Okay, first, you don't need to Conan the Barbarian that thing out of there. You're more likely to damage the screw. Gentle, constant pressure with a little force in towards the screw, and then the Loctite method if we need to. But anyway, these screws are a little difficult to work with. They are kind of a soft metal, it's true, and they're tiny, so you want to be really careful. You got to have something ready to catch them, not a hard surface where they might ping and bounce and roll away. But I did not really have that much trouble removing this. I had one of them was a little bit more sticky than the others, and that's why there's this snail trail, because as I got two out, I went to rotate the clip to see if it was the clip, could rotate freely or what was up with the screw, and it left a little snail trail there, unfortunately. But I got that other screw out pretty easily, and then changed it to tip up, which is my preferred carry method. Overall, I really like this knife. Spear point blade is it's whether you prefer this or a drop point for EDC, 6 in one, half dozen another. It's the same kind of thing. It's a blade very reminiscent of like a Rat One or something like that. Great lightweight if that's what you're looking for. If you want a nice lightweight knife, this thing is so slim and does have a very gentleman's carry kind of look to it. Clip is a little tight. You're going to need to break that in a little bit through use. You might have a little bit of trouble getting that over, say, the lip of jeans or a larger sewn edge like that. But if you were going to wear this, and I'm just throwing this out there with a, gentleman's carry, like the inside pocket of a sports coat or a suit or something, this thing would fit in there just perfectly. And, thinner fabric kind of hems and stuff, this would go really nicely. You can break this clip in over time a little bit just by giving it a little bit of stretch and use, but I think this is a great knife. And this will be in my pocket for a few days as I use it. Again, the shallow hollow ground shape is going to give you great effect for slicing and things like that, just general EDC tasks. It's going to be nice and bright and shiny, which I'm going to love looking at. And I think that Daryl has picked another winner for the Onyx Club. Plus, front flippers I think are just really cool. I really like using them. Overall, the design, I probably would have, I guess, they went with the clip screws because it is a very thin knife. Not a lot of extra room to work with, so I could see why they chose them. If I was redoing this design, I might have used a slightly different screw with a standard T6 kind of Torx thing. I guess they figured we'll give you this for the pivot. This for the pivot. I don't know. This is for the frame. Maybe something similar fitted directly for the Phillips head, but they probably figured who doesn't have a Phillips head around, Definitely a winner in my book. and I'm looking forward to carrying it around as the days permit and I get to try it out. So, you guys, your thoughts on this offering, Monthly Knife Club October from Boker. What do you think? Onyx box worthy? Yes, no, I definitely think so. It's still taking me some time getting used to Boker Plus being in the high-end bracket, because I'm used to Boker Plus being more of a lower-end Boker product line, but they've shifted it. They've really shifted it, so it's pretty cool. But I really do like this design. So I want to hear your thoughts, people. I hope that the little blurb on the screw removal and the Loctite maybe help some people out. Don't soldering iron or blowtorch your screws to try to get them out. Please don't do that. That's knife abuse. But you know what? Some people just don't know, and you know, now you do. God, look at that. Like a lightsaber. Okay, cool. Link to Monthly Knife Club in the video description if you want to check out all their different boxes, and their sister company, USA Knife Club, which is all USA made stuff, which I know is important to a lot of people. You can check that out. So anyway, guys, remember, you are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a shiny, pretty blade, because they're shiny and pretty. And I will be back again real soon.